Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. I recall reading so much about the Stalin censorship of anything that wasn't pro-communist, and then Hitler's censorship and burning of books of anybody who wasn't pro-Nazi. And I'm seeing today's, what I call the 3 C's, censure, censor, and cancel. People who don't go along with today's, let's just call it the orthodoxy, what is supposed to occur, what I call is anti-merit redistribution. There are very few TV shows, movies, books that have been published that raise questions about this kind of censorship. And I'm reminded of one of the few that existed, and this was 50 or 60 years ago, maybe more. The famous book by George Orwell, 1984. And of course, it's way too long for me to read all that to you, but I found a summary of it that takes maybe, it'll take me about, I'm guessing, 7-10 minutes to read from the Spark Notes. And here it is. Winston Smith is a low-ranking member of the ruling party in London, in the nation of Oceania. Everywhere Winston goes, even his own home, the party watches him through telescreens. Everywhere he looks, he sees the face of the party's seemingly omniscient leader, a figure known only as Big Brother. The party controls everything in Oceania, even the people's history and language. Currently, the party is forcing the implementation of an invented language called Newspeak, which attempts to prevent political rebellion by eliminating all words related to it. Even thinking rebellious thoughts is illegal. Such thought crime is in fact the worst of all crimes. As the novel opens, Winston feels frustrated by the oppression and rigid control of the party, which prohibits free thought, sex, and any expression of individuality. Winston dislikes the party and has illegally purchased a diary in which to write his criminal thoughts. Excuse me a sec. He's also become fixated on a powerful party member named O'Brien, whom Winston believes is a secret member of the Brotherhood, the mysterious legendary group that works to overthrow the party. Winston works in the Ministry of Truth, where he alters historical records to fit the needs of the party. He notices a coworker, a beautiful dark-haired girl, staring at him, and worries that she is an informant who will turn him in for his thought crime. He is troubled by the party's control of history. The party claims that Oceania has always been allied with East Asia in a war against Eurasia, but Winston seems to recall a time this wasn't true. The party also claims that Emmanuel Goldstein, the alleged leader of the Brotherhood, is the most dangerous man alive. But this does not seem plausible to Winston. Winston spends his evenings wandering through the poorest neighborhoods of London, where the proletarians, or proles, live squalid lives, relatively free of party monitoring. One day, Winston receives a note from the dark-haired girl that reads, "I love you." She tells him her name, Julia, and they begin a covert affair, always on the lookout for signs of party monitoring. Eventually they rent a room above the second-hand store in the Prole district where Winston bought the diary. This relationship lasts for some time. Winston is sure they'll be caught and punished sooner or later. The fatalistic Winston knows that he has been doomed since he wrote his first diary entry, while Julia is more pragmatic and optimistic. As Winston's affair with Julia progresses, his hatred for the party grows more and more intense. At last, he receives the message that he's been waiting for. O'Brien wants to see him. Winston and Julia travel to O'Brien's luxurious apartment. As a member of the powerful inner party, Winston belongs only to the outer party, O'Brien leads a life of luxury that Winston can only imagine. O'Brien confirms to Winston and Julia that, like them, he hates the party, and says he works against it as a member of the Brotherhood. He indoctrinates Winston and Julia into the Brotherhood and gives Winston a copy of Emmanuel Goldstein's book, The Manifesto of the Brotherhood. Winston reads the book, an amalgam of several forms of class-based 20th century social theory, to Julia in the room above the store. Suddenly, soldiers barge in and seize them. Mr. Charrington, the proprietor of the store, is revealed as having been a member of the Thought Police all along. Torn away from Julia and taken to a place called the Ministry of Love, Winston finds that O'Brien, too, is a party spy who simply pretended to be a member of the Brotherhood in order to trap Winston into committing an open act of rebellion against the party. O'Brien spends months torturing and brainwashing Winston, who struggles to resist. At last, O'Brien sends him to the dreaded Room 101, the final destination for anyone who opposes the party. Here, O'Brien tells Winston that he'll be forced to confront his worst fear. Throughout the novel, Winston has had recurring nightmares about rats. O'Brien now straps a cage full of rats onto Winston's head and prepares to allow the rats to eat his face. Winston snaps, pleading with O'Brien to do it to Julia, not to him. Giving up Julia is what O'Brien wanted from Winston all along. Winston's spirit broken, he is released to the outside world. He meets Julia, but no longer feels anything for her. He accepted the party now entirely and has learned to love Big Brother. Anyway, that's a story, the summary of the book 1984, which unfortunately, from where I sit, is prophetic for what is incipiently occurring today and is accelerating. So I worry that it may not get as far as as this, but close enough that I certainly do believe that freedom of expression is greatly under attack, which will result, in my judgment, into a dissolution of society. In any event, I thank you for watching. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Demko.